backhand because it's just some kind of derpy noodle arm looking thing no matter what I do. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just like, you
yeah.
know,
Well, and that's always the thing. And we were talking about last week. I just need to get out there and sort of maybe playing some will stretch out some of this stuff if it is all muscular and everything. Um, I'm I'm afraid to get out there to see how bad my throws
oh,
would be
well, I
because
mean,
I'd be afraid to you know causing a little or more pain than I need to have right now.
right.
But yeah, like maybe doing the flick might actually help out, or maybe
It might. It's a completely different motion. So I
we
mean,
I learned a little bit how to do tomahawks and stuff like that. Got okay with that. Got really good roll distance and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, it's still been forever since I've played. I need to get out there at some point. Maybe after this trip, they'll tell me or urgent care trip, they'll tell me what's up.
a portable basket and put it in your yard. That'll at
Yeah,
least let you putt. And then if you've got distance, you can back up and do some approach shots.
yeah, and that's what my brother's got. He's got a couple. I think he's at least got one. I think he's got two.
Yeah.
So yep. Let's see here. Will folks?
I did not read Buffy. I forgot all about it.
Oh, it's fine. I'll skim over it because it's 4 stories, 4 or 5 stories.
Anthology.
The big one is the last story. I mean, there's one major, long story. The rest of them are kind of short, but then the last one is the one that leads into the new series.
Okay.
So, I mean, they all kind of have a little bit to do with one another, but mainly with the multiverse and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I was just going to touch on that because I just had said I was going to pick it up, and I wanted to make sure I read sort of the lead-in part. But yeah, everything else I read Killer and Something is Killing, so I'm pretty stoked about that. So, all right, I guess we can go ahead and get started, and then I'm sure we'll get a
Okay.
little bit of chat along the way.
Yeah, it's cool.
So, oh my goodness. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Everybody, welcome back to Boom Addiction. This is episode number, oh gosh, is it 34?
34.
34. I had to look at my notes real quick. 34.
Which, do you know what that means?
What does that mean?
That means that this is the longest volume that we've had.
Nice. See, there you go. Longest volume. And Doug was here
Yep.
to see it.
All right. There we go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, 34 episodes of season 3, and we'll just keep plugging along. We could always just chop these episodes up into smaller episodes, and so we get more. One long recording session. No,
yeah.
but let's see. So, oh yeah, I'm Chris Martin. Hey, how are you? And with me as always is Mr. Ed Moore. As you can see, Ed the Comic Geek Moore, which is not exactly what he had prior.
I still don't have this camera thing down.
Oh no, I just give up on that. Like I'm looking at you on my screen, not looking into the camera.
Right into the camera, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel weird just staring at the camera.
Well, when I put or do something where I think the camera is, like I think that's right where the camera is, but obviously it's off to one side. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, just whatever. So okay, so episode 34. Yeah, I mean we'll just go ahead and jump into things. I mean, unless you got some small talk. I mean, we were talking disc golf a little bit before,
Yeah.
But so you need to come along, come early for those kind of conversations, folks. Go ahead.
For those of you, anybody who's listening that doesn't follow one or both of us on Twitter, it really will help you understand most of our conversations because most of the stuff we talk about starts earlier in the day over on Twitter.
Yeah.
And we talk about something we saw or something we retweeted or one of us did or so. So if you you miss part of the experience, now you don't have to, of course, but you miss Mr. Rios. And I did not, Pete.
Yes,
I had not for a very long time, sir.
And you were not the only one who has mentioned that too.
That you did, yeah. So most of our conversations start there, and then they carry over later in the day to our recording. So more information there that we don't rehash because we already did it on Twitter. But that's a part of the conversation too for those of you that have Twitter.
Yep. It's just the way it is. So, all right, let's jump into just jump right into it. We'll talk about if I can click all my buttons the way I'm supposed to click them to get to the sharing part. Final order cutoff. As you can see, we have a very small list.
Small
Uh,
FOC. Yes,
and actually,
indeed.
I'm gonna refresh again just to see, um,
Just to make sure.
just to make sure, because I remember I warned everybody. We're recording on Thursday night, so usually by Friday, if there's gonna be any second printings and stuff like that, they're usually either being posted Thursday or Friday at the latest. So I say the latest. That's usually the latest. But yeah, it doesn't look like any second printings or anything like that. I haven't heard anything about second printings, although Something is Killing the Children number 21 did come out this week. I know it was ordered high, and there's a lot of variant covers and stuff like that. And no, I did not buy them all, so don't even start asking me that. Um, but I haven't heard anything about a second printing or something like that. So maybe there will be, maybe there won't be. So just kind of keep checking with FOC or checking with Ed and I on Twitter. I'm sure one of us, or even on our Facebook page, we'll say something if we get wind of it. We'll let you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So again, these are orders due, as you can see here on the page. They're due April 4th, which is next Monday. So, but check with your local retailer just to make sure when they have to put their orders in. So again, short list. We've got all new Firefly number 3. We've got a cover A and a cover B here. It's Firefly. It's a licensed property. More likely there'll be some more covers and stuff like that. But these are probably the main ones, the non-ratio covers. We've also got Killer, Affairs of the State, number 3 of 6. We've got a cover A here. This series is usually, I think, even issue 2 that we're going to be talking about tonight only had, I think it had 3 covers, but
Yeah.
I
It
think 2
was.
of them were ratios. So they're kind of little skim as far as variant covers on that, which is fine by me. The vintage variants that they have had for this series have been pretty cool, but they're like 1 in 10, and I've only seen one of them, like for the first issue in the shop. I haven't seen the one for the second issue actually in a shop. So it is a cool looking cover. So if you get a chance to take a look at that one, uh, check it out. And then we've got Power Rangers Universe number 5 of 6. We have a cover A and a cover F, which we've talked about before. Your alphabet as well as mine does not go from A to F, so there's some fill-ins there along the way. Plus, it's a Power Ranger thing. It's a licensed thing. They tend to do a lot of variant covers and stuff for that. Um, so it'll be there. They'll be obviously with Power Ranger Universe, they've been doing all the very bright color covers and stuff like that by Dan Mora. So I'm sure there'll be another one for that. We see just, I guess this is for the Black Ranger, so it's not going to be as bright, but again, they're going to probably do a negative color variant like they've done with all the other issues. So be on the lookout for that. But that's it. That's all it is for Final Order Cutoff. It's just those $5. So get up with your local comic shop if any of these interest you and you want to make sure that you got them pulled for you. I know The Killer, it's one of my favorite books that's out there right now. So I will definitely make sure that I'm getting mine pulled. I have not put in my FOC order. I haven't put it in yet, but I will definitely be doing it tomorrow. I tend to wait till the last minute, but I tend to at least wait till the last day before I put mine in at my local shop, just to make sure I get all any kind of second printings and junk like that. So yeah. So let's see. As far as the books that came out this week, I mean it's pretty simple. We've got Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the 25th anniversary special, which we'll be talking about tonight in a small part. It's a big book. It's a $10 and $9.99 book, so it's a $10 book. It's a good size book if you haven't checked it out. We'll talk about it a little bit when we get to it, but if you've not checked out Buffy and you're curious about it in the new series, this is a good one. This is a good one to jump onto. Again, it's a $10 book. That might be something you're like, I don't know if I want to spend $10 to try out something, but it is there. So and obviously a bunch of variant covers. I think it was at 2, 4,
1, 2, 3,
6,
4,
8,
5,
10.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's what I
Yeah.
get.
Wow. Well, I should have looked at J. J's the 10th letter, so I should have done that.
Okay.
And then Good Luck. The trade paperback is out, so you can grab that. It's 5-issue miniseries collected there. Is it 5 or 6? 5.
5.
They've been doing the 5-issue run. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah. And it's funny you say that because right here, the next book,
I know.
Killer Affairs of this, that's 6. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh,
6.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay. I
got to
see.
break the mold there. So
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, so like I said earlier, we got 3 covers on that for Killer Affairs of the State #2, and then Something Is Killing. There is 8 covers for that, and crazy enough, 4 or I think it's 4 of the covers were non-ratio covers. So you could just walk in your shop, and if they ordered them all, you could get them all. I did get
Cool.
3 of the 4. I've been to 2 shops in the last 2 days, and neither one of them had the. I think it's the no, it's not. There was one of these they didn't have, and I can't. Oh, maybe it's this one, the big variant. Maybe that's what it was. And it they told I was told it was not a. I'm sorry, as I pull this up just to double check. Yeah, this is the cover, and apparently, this is because it's got the AR at the end. Ask your retailer. Apparently, it is a ratio cover of some kind. Um, so I was
Well,
told
is
differently
that the
tonight.
Dan Mora?
No, this is the Riccardi. The
Oh, the
uh,
H. Oh,
yeah, it's the H cover. Yeah,
that's way high for to think that it would just be a regular
yeah, yeah.
non-ratio cover. I mean,
I
that's
know, like the Dan Mora one is the 1 in 25.
okay.
And then the Jenny Frison one, I think, is the 1 in 50. And then this one is the one in is I think this Jenny Frison one is the 1 per store variant.
Okay.
And then the Gabriel Delato is the 1 in 100 variant. So I'm not sure what this one is. I That may be why I couldn't find it in shops, because nobody ordered it. But
Ah.
I thought it was I honestly I thought it was a fourth regular cover, which sort of surprised me. So
Mhm.
I'll have to do a little research on that. But anyway, it's a good looking cover, and it's one I wanted to pick out, to pick up. But apparently, I'm gonna have to put a little work into that one before I can get to it. So, and let's see, you want to go over what's coming out next week?
Next week, yes. Let me call it up. Do, 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 do. Boom. Studios. Ah, the much awaited Alice Ever After #1. Very much looking forward to getting a hold of that and reading it.
Yep.
A lot of people are starting to talk about it. I've been seeing some other covers popping up, some higher order covers and some store covers for that. So it's starting to get a little bit of buzz here
Hmm.
right before it comes out. Buckhead #5, Alice Ever After. This has listed 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 covers.
7.
Or 7, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Those are Buckhead covers. 7 covers.
Get a little excited there for the covers.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
my job, not yours.
Um, so, but I know I've seen, I think, 3 store covers on that already. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
it'll probably be for those of you that have any thoughts of trying to complete that issue 1 cover, there's probably gonna be, I would predict, 15 plus covers.
Yeah. Sounds about
So
right.
Buckhead #5, which is the final issue of that story, 2, 4 covers there. Jim Henson's The Storyteller Shapeshifters, issue #2, 3 covers there.
Hmm.
Magic 13, 5 covers there with, I believe, I've seen that this is the start of a new storyline or an
Yes.
introduction of someone, a new planeswalker.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
That's
right. Yeah.
that's what it is that's coming up, because actually, I believe that, in my email, I have absolutely nothing about it, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Well, there is a
Uh,
new
uh,
Planeswalker miniseries that's coming out, and the last issue was sort of a prologue to this upcoming story arc. So there is a new
okay,
Planeswalker. Yeah.
maybe I'm conflating those 2
Yeah.
then, yeah. And that's it. So basically 1 2, 3, 4 books next week.
Yep.
And for those of you that haven't been here, don't forget that coming up later this month is
Yep.
over here. Oh, there we go.
Mine are in the mail.
6
They'll
Gun
be here
Gorilla.
soon. I'm
Yes.
pretty stoked about
So
talking
that'll
about
be.
that.
I don't know. We haven't decided that we'll talk about it next week, but it will be the April
Yeah.
retro, April old timers, April
Whatever.
whatever we want to call doing that. I don't
We
know.
want to talk about old books episode. That's what.
Yes. Well, why not? You know, it's most of what we talk about are the current stuff. So
Yeah.
we definitely on those weeks like this week, like last week when there's only a couple books out, fill the space by talking about something older that we've read, something older that
Yep.
we haven't read but we will now, or whatever we want to do. So
Gets the word out. That's the whole point. Because if
yep.
you haven't read it, it's new to you. So go check it out. So
Oh, there you go.
All of
Bottom
those
line.
things. Yeah. So. All right. So start of the new month. I mean, this is end of March 31st, so April 1st is tomorrow. So I want to start covering all of the things, all the new stuff that's coming out from Boom for in previews. These are all the books that are coming out in June and beyond. I always forget the and beyond because a lot of the trade paperbacks and stuff like that, hardcovers they get solicited, for June, but they may not actually come out till July or even August. So
What
the
page are
comics
you looking at here?
themselves.
What's that website?
This is previews.
Previews?
Yeah, previews world. I know you're using the stuff from the email.
Well, I'm wondering. Continue, sir.
Oh, okay.
New printings. Find out where on the
On the website,
new
you just
releases.
go to catalog,
Yeah.
and then you just hit the catalog, and it'll pop up.
And this is whatever the latest catalog is.
Yeah, the one with Clementine from Walking Dead. That's the latest one.
Yeah. Okay. Which I don't have on the way from Westfield yet.
So, Doug, I picked up 6 Gun Grill and recommend it. Cool, and you enjoyed it.
Cool
Awesome.
beans.
Good to know. Glad you checked it
And
out.
really enjoyed it. Yes. Mr.
Right.
Rios, if you're still there, have you read Boom's 6 Gun Gorilla? And if so, what did you think?
Which also makes me wonder what the delay is when we talk about things. Wonder if I can change
we could be counting it right now.
Yeah, we could. Well, that's true. Or if he's already taken off, counting for man, it's a 30-minute delay. That's crazy.
Dude.
He just
there it is. I have not.
There it is.
But
Well, that's not too bad of a delay. Okay.
No.
Not too bad. So
but
he does remember what it
I think.
Now we talked about, just as a side comment, last week I talked about the Fist of Justice Kickstarter that Ed Dukeshire and cohorts at Digital Webbing put together. My copy did come in like the next day. So here's the nice chromium cover for that bad boy.
Oh, nice.
You really can't appreciate it. I mean, it's super good.
It's all shiny.
But Peter had mentioned that he had a Fist of Justice T-shirt, and so he sent me a picture of it. So I was like, not that I didn't believe him, but I was just like, oh, that's sweet. Just,
I don't believe you. No, you don't.
Throw down over a T-shirt.
Yeah, really.
No. But no, it was really cool to see. So that was, I don't know. It's one of those things. Digital webbing, that was such a cool thing, and it's still around. I mean, don't miss out on that. I mean, you can definitely go over to Digital Webbing. I think it's just digitalwebbing.com. If it's not, it's Digital Webbing, publishing maybe. So either way, just do a Google search for Digital Webbing and put Fist of Justice or put Ed Dukeshire or whatever, and it'll give you the address for it. So, but go check it out. It used to be a really sort of diverse area as far as it posted a lot of small press news and stuff I used to keep up with over there. And then the forums are really where it was at as far as like creatives, getting together and teaming up writers and artists and colorists and inkers and letters and all. That's kind of how the whole anthology started. Was that message board? So it was really cool. So this is one of those things that's just continued to stem from it. So I'm excited to see it. So
Did they do Web Witch for a while?
I think so. That
Web Witch?
sounds right, but I
That's
can't 100% say. I know they did a Blood Rain comic,
okay.
and then there was a couple other ones, but I just can't remember off the top of my head
Okay.
because I'm old and my brain doesn't want to work. So, but as far as like Boom stuff that's coming out in June, new series, we've got a Power Ranger one shot. I think this is a one shot. The Power Rangers Unlimited Countdown to Ruin, which is the first issue there. That being an $8 book makes me think it's a one shot. They usually put a bunch of additional pages in those kind of things, so the prices usually are up a little bit. Full cover there. So let's see. Previews. Okay, so it's Andros and Zahn from the hit series Power Rangers in Space. So again, not knowing a lot about Power Rangers, I don't know who those people are. So
Well, they had a hit book, so you do know
apparently,
that.
apparently I know that. So obviously Berserker, the final arc for Berserker will be coming out in June. I do find it funny that the order number ends in triple sixes. That's just weird. I'm hoping that's just a coincidence. So that's going on. So we get the final arc of that. So I'm kind of curious and see where that goes. And let's see, we get a new series, Buffy 97, number 1. This is it's a all I can get from the solicitations is it's either an alternate universe where the Buffy crew are themselves, but sort of transplanted into another world where Buffy is a TV series, and so they're trying to figure things out.
Isn't
That
that kind of like the Angel series?
kind of like the Angel series, but they're actually in their own universe in the Angel series. They're just doing a TV show.
Well, but they have other people from other
Well, it's
universes
no,
as
it's
part of
the
that group.
actual
So
Angel Buffy universe, but Cordelia is doing a TV show about her being a detective, and Angel's like her partner in it. So it's not like he's Angel in the show. At least I don't think that's the way it works. So it's just him being an act. He's an actor in the TV show, but in the comic, he's still Angel the vampire.
okay.
So let's see. So we'll have a bunch of variants on that. There's the trade paperback for Blue Sun Rising, which was a pretty good story arc. Not having read a whole lot prior to that going on. We've got Grimm. Trying to see what else. We have a new Orc miniseries, which is we didn't get a chance to talk about the previous miniseries because it ended right as we were starting the show back.
Mm-hmm.
So this will give us a chance to talk about that. So much like storytellers, it's just sort of set still in that same universe. It's just more stories, about these orcs and everything. So it'll be kind of interesting to talk about. Trade paperback for Oswald's Body. We get more of Alice. Let's see. Trying to see if there's anything.
But is that really what's in that trade paperback?
Oswald's Body?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Your guess is as good as mine. So,
I don't know. Be careful.
let's see. We get another Buffy trade.
Oh,
I mean,
I apologize. I told you I was going to be the straight man. My bad.
No, it's fine.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do.
Ed is trying to be the straight guy, trying not to make me laugh because it will hurt my chest due to some pulled muscles and everything. So
Hurts to laugh.
It hurts to laugh. So I'm trying not to laugh, but by all means, be funny if you can.
No, I can't. I lost that now.
The new Fence trade. If you remember, you may not remember, but Fence used to actually be a single issue series, and I forgot how many issues it ran up to. I think it covered the first 2 trades, and then trades 3, 4, and 5 are essentially graphic novels. They just switched to that format to do it. So they'll put together. I'm not sure why they keep calling it a trade paperback and not a OGN, original graphic novel, but maybe just to kind of keep with the terminology, just so people aren't confused when they say, trade paperback volume 1, 2, and then original graphic novel 1. That might confuse. I could see where that would confuse people. So that's good. So let's see. Anything else newish? I don't see anything new. Most of that's usually up at the top. We do get Seven Secrets number 18, and as it says, I think it says in this, it's the final issue. It doesn't say here, but in the solicitations, but it is the final issue of the series. So I think when we reviewed 15, we talked about it's got to be ending sometime soon, or at least this particular arc has got to be ending. Well, here you go.
There we go. Yep.
So 18 will be it. Obviously some more Something is Killing with some sweet die cut. The die cut cover, I guess, is the thing that we're doing now, which is fine. Which is fine. I've got 21. I've got 2 of the die cut covers. They look fine. They're good. It's just weird because it's not a thing you see very often anymore. And then that's about it. Well, I do want to say we only find them when they're dead. This is the 3rd and final arc of the series.
Right.
I did want to point that out. So,
and what are those, 5 or 6? Are those
they're
6 issues apiece?
5 issues apiece.
5 issues apiece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they put all 5 issues in one trade. So if you're
Right.
just waiting for the trade, there's your opportunity, to have 3 volumes. If it's only going to be 15 issues, I'm sure they'll put that. Well, I say I'm sure. Peter. Peter is not very happy about the end of We Only Find Them When They're Dead. He's just recently jumped onto the series.
Yeah.
And
sorry, man.
But sorry. But it's super good though. It's so good. So, it's one of those things, much like Seven Secrets, I hate to see that end, but I understand that it's going to end. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with where We Only Find Them When They're Dead, because I think it takes place. Flash forward 50 years from where the current arc is going to end. So that's going to be kind of nuts. So
a lot can happen in 50 years in that universe.
Yeah, man. I was going to say, just from issue 5 to issue 6, there was a ton that happened.
That can be conceivably a whole new story, a whole different kind, just depending on what happens. So
yeah, for sure. So definitely looking forward to that. And you were definitely right, Doug. It is a really great series. So I'm pretty stoked about reading it for as long as it'll be there, and then going back and reading it again once it's all collected. So I did quickly before we get into things. This is Chris's share time. I just wanted, if you're not, I'm only going to show 2 things. So and I'm doing this more as a thing. Like, if you didn't see the die cut, it's the cover is heavy cardstock, and then so you can almost stand the comic up just on the cardstock, and then you get the Jenny Frison, and
it's a regular on the inside. Yeah, that's cool.
So it's a really, it's really nice, nicely put together. So I got that. I also got the bloody die cut that just has the regular, just some blood on the top and everything. And then I had to get the Dan Mora, enjoy that Dan Mora art.
Yeah.
So I had to pick that one up as well. So
we need some more claws to get some more Dan Mora art.
Oh, for sure. Well, I really need. See, here's the problem. I need more Once and Future on a regular basis. So I need Dan Mora to be working on that.
Yeah.
I would like to have some more claws for sure, even if it's just a 48-page deal once a year,
right? Around Christmas time, the most appropriate time of the year. And
But I also need, and I'm not going to try and find it in this stack of comics, although I think I see it. But I still need Dan Mora to be working on his new series over at DC, World's Finest with Mark Waid.
Okay.
That is a
Yeah.
beautiful looking book. He draws some great Batman and Superman,
Can't do all of those,
but
unfortunately.
he can't do it all.
Somebody can write 3, but drawing
So
3 a month
yeah,
is,
I
yeah,
mean, he
that's
is, and plus he's doing covers,
mhm.
too. So he's I saw someone shared a picture. They say it was Dan Moore and his 2 or 3 children. I forgot how many children, and they're younger, like
Oh my
young kids.
goodness.
Um, but they were all dressed up as Spider-Man, somewhere. I forget where.
Cool.
So it was a cool picture and everything like that. But that was the first time I was like, oh no, he's got little kids
Little
too.
kid, yeah,
Oh
wow.
no, he is super busy. He
Full
is.
life. Full life for
so
sure.
so that's good. That's good to know. But yeah, all right. Let's see. I guess we can dive into comics because we kind of blew through things pretty quick there. That's a first for us. I tried not to be funny. Maybe that was
But
it.
that's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're holding back.
I didn't
So
buy as many comics this week,
oh,
so the
okay.
show. Yeah, maybe that. No, that's
Well, but you
actually I
did
really didn't buy a whole lot of comics this week. That's the crazy thing.
you did do your all the variants show and tell portion of the show. So you got that in.
Yeah, I got that in. I needed to make
Yeah.
sure I at least got that in my little
Yeah.
flex there. So, and I only showed the 1 in 25. There wasn't a single store, like, well, I only went to 2, but there's the 2 stores I went to, nobody had anything other than the Dan Mora 1 in 25. No one had any, which
Mm.
again, you gotta order 50 copies to get the one of obviously math.
Right, right.
But it really kind of surprised me, to not find at
S-
least the 1 in 50.
So
So
had they already sold it, or they didn't get any, or I mean, do you
they
know?
didn't say either way. I looked
Okay.
for it and they were like, "Yeah, I don't see it." So it's either whoever was
Mm.
showing it to me. I know who was showing it to me. Maybe they just didn't know. Maybe they're being coy about it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Whatever.
who knows?
Yeah, I could care less.
Yeah.
I was a little afraid. The shop that I got my 1 in 25 from, I got it at a pretty good price. But then the shop I went by tonight, they actually had it for like $5 cheaper. And I was like,
Hmm.
And I thought about grabbing it to give away on the show. Hadn't decided yet. Maybe I will. If they still have it the next time I go in, maybe.
Yeah,
It's
we'll see.
fun. So,
You know
but
what
yeah,
we
they
need
had
to
nothing
do
else.
is we need to get a trade of we only and give it away to our listener Peter Rios so he can catch up on
So
the
you can
show.
catch up on it. Yeah.
Yeah, so he can win and catch
Or
up
we could
on
just,
the book.
hold
Yeah.
it up hostage, so he can't read it.
Or yeah, there you go. It's the last one. That's all there is.
It's all, yeah, of course. So, uh, so I guess it's that time. It's time to talk about some new
Okay.
comics. So, what do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Killer Affairs of the State first because I
Oh,
know there's
okay.
some. Yeah, I know there's some excitement about one of the other books. We'll push that back a little bit. So, um, first, it really struck me tonight as I was reading this. This book just has a very different feel than the majority of Western comics right now. Do
Yep.
you agree?
Oh, for sure. That's why I enjoy it.
Even the um, interstitial. I don't know if that's the right word, but the um, the connecting parts of the story
Hmm.
are just very different. The downtimes and
Yeah.
how the writer expresses the downtime for the characters, what the characters do, what they think, very very different. At least from most of the Western comics that I read. Now, I'm sure there's stuff out there
Yeah.
because this style is very popular. So I'm sure there are books that emulate it. I know I run across more non-Western comic sensibilities in the Kickstarter books that I read,
Right. Yeah.
where I suppose that those creators are fans having read that, and so they're attempting to emulate various aspects of everything. And it's pretty easy being in the West to emulate Western comics. Um, so emulating other parts of the world, the way they write is just comes across more interesting because you don't run across it as often,
Right.
and so it kind of stands out. Not that Western comics aren't interesting, but it's different enough that it really. So I guess the Kickstarter people, in trying to really sell their product, they use techniques like that, as well as obviously being a fan. You're not going to use a system or a technique that you don't like.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
okay. That having been said, let me step down off my pulpit here and uh, Killer Affairs of the State, issue 2 of 6. This is written for us by Maz, M-A-Z, illustrated by Luke Jacquemont, English translation presented by Edward Gauvin, lettered by Ann World Design. Um, Listed in the book are 3 covers, and it was designed for us by Grace Park. And if anybody from Boom Studios is listening, please, the offsetting of the blue type with the black background works when the font is the size of the right-hand side of your credits. The size of the font on the left hand, or excuse me, the other way around. The
Oh
left
yeah.
hand
Yeah.
side, the larger font works. That blue on black on the right hand side, that sucks.
As it
It
gets
just,
smaller. Yeah.
and it's really really
Yeah.
hard to see. Now the white in that same size font sticks out okay,
Right.
but that shade of blue just almost blends in, and I'm like, oh, everything was working so well here until I tried to read it, and so
Don't do
yeah.
that.
So I don't know whose idea that was. I guess you had to reduce the font on the right side to get everything in.
Right. Yeah.
That being the case, may I request that you go to 3 columns instead of 2, and then that way So there are other things to do, but that color blue in that size font just didn't work. All right, so I believe his name is Nicholas. He is one of our main characters from the first issue, and in my mind, he has a very European look in the way he's drawn and his what I perceive as his character. I believe they would call it a hawkish nose. Really stands out to me,
Yeah.
the kind
Yeah.
of nose that he has. But most of this story involves him, doesn't necessarily revolve around him, but it does involve him. Oh, and for those of you that may be interested in this book is larger than your standard 22 to 25 page story.
Yeah.
I believe this came in at 32, 33 pages of story, or 30 with 3 ad pages, I think, something like that. But it's
Yeah.
more than the 22 or 23 that we're used to getting. So first of all, that gives you a little bit more value for what you're paying for the book. Now you do pay a little bit more. I believe it's $1 more than the other books.
Let's see. Where is my cover
I forget.
price?
Was it four
Where?
ninety
Why can't?
nine as opposed to 3.99?
Yes, it's 4. I saw. I couldn't read, and I had my
Okay.
glasses on. I am
So there you
old.
go. It's
I'm
the
old.
font. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, there's some. Yeah.
No, it's just in Daisha are really, really small.
Yeah, so I think that makes it although there are Boom, I think, is slowly a lot of their books, particularly their newer books as they're coming out. I believe they're creeping in on that 4.99
Yeah.
across the line, but um, more pages than most other books. The artwork by Mr. Jacquemont is, again, to me, it's very reminiscent of things that I see in the Franco-Belgian comics that are really drawing my attention. And for whatever that reason may be, I couldn't really say right now, but this art style really stands out when I see adverts and solicits
Hmm.
and things like that. So I have come to associate it with a more uh, Franco-Belgian, if that's the correct classification, type art style than a lot of the art styles that we see over here with well, mainly what you're going to see are Marvel and DC books because that's the majority of the market. But
Hmm.
a lot of the other books. A lot of again, a lot of Kickstarters kind of emulate this too. So I see that art there. Um, okay, sorry guys, I'm just kind of all over the place for some reason this evening. Nicholas, the first 25% or maybe first third of the book is a story about it's showing you how bad a bad dude is.
Oh yeah,
Because later on in the story, bad dude gets his comeuppance, and you have to be able to justify that, you know, for most audiences to really be able to get away with it. Um, his comeuppance wasn't the most graceful kind of way to go, but you know, it was effective and it worked
yeah.
nonetheless.
Yeah.
Now, Chris, something that occurred to me is this the same guy that they were trailing or tailing in the first book?
Yeah, it's all part of the same crew.
Well, see, I thought that who they were looking for in the first book. Okay, I thought that the person from last issue and the person that they dispatched were the same person, but I did not think that that person was the same as the person we saw at the beginning of this issue.
It's the same guy in the beginning of this issue that they track down later in the issue.
Right.
And part of that has to do it's a they're he's a bigger piece in the larger syndicate, I guess you
R-
could say.
right. Okay.
Not I don't and I'm trying to go back off of memory, but I don't think
Yeah.
he's the exact person that they were dealing with in the first part. But it's like as they're getting pieces, because most of last issue and even part of this issue is surveillance,
Yeah.
and so we're
For
learning
sure.
as they're learning.
Okay.
And so I don't think it's the same guy. I would have to go back and just double check because they seem to be last issue seemed to be very cautious about interaction,
Hmm.
but based off of the events in the beginning of this issue, plus some conversations with another agent, they felt that they needed to make a move on this guy.
And yeah, they seem to have been much more willing this issue to do
Yeah,
than last issue, which was
yeah,
just look. So, um, so yeah, we're starting to get, and this is what is this, six, right? Six issues
six
is what this
issues. Yep.
is. So we're a third of the way through. Um, Nicholas and Barbara and another guy
I
who's
forget the other guy's
yeah
name.
name
Yeah,
I
and the
actually I
thing is, they so sparsely mention anyone's name, it's
yeah
hard for it to stick. And it's not like this series has always been a very quote unquote real world kind of situation. And so, yeah, you don't just randomly, hey, add this and hey, add that. You just don't do that. And
right
so
you
the
just talk
dialogue
yes
works that way.
yeah
Um, so yeah, so it does, especially when you're getting newer characters, they'll mention it when they first get introduced, but an issue later they may never even mention his name again.
right.
So
So we what we're dealing with for the story, for those of you that weren't with us when we talked about the first issue, this is an assassination organization,
yes.
and we're following a field cell
Well,
of
these
that
are
organization.
these are law enforcement officers.
Oh,
The our
these guys are official with somebody.
Yes, they're
Oh,
like
okay,
black ops. They're black ops, but
okay,
they
okay,
are official. Now, what coming into the series, our killer, who is our main character, he's a criminal, and so he's a hired gun, and so when he was in the at some point he's captured, and in order to sort of stay out of prison, he's agreed to work with
oh,
authorities.
okay,
And so it's kind of like, well, when you need the best there is, this is the guy you go to.
okay,
And
right,
so they've brought him in, and that's kind of part of even this issue with the conversations that he has with the other guy
right.
is sort
That's
of that detachment that he has with missions and the people that he kills and stuff like that. And you can tell by the writing that his inner monologue that he says a lot of that, and I think he believes a lot of it, but there's always that little bit in the back of his mind that it's not that he feels bad for killing someone because he has already justified the killing before he even does it.
Right. Yeah.
But there is sort of that little bit, how much of your humanity do you lose by doing that as a profession?
Yeah.
And
You
so
can.
that's kind of where he's at.
He feels that it's unfortunate that it's necessary,
Yeah.
but he makes no qualms about the fact that, well, there are just times that it's necessary.
Oh
There's
yeah.
no,
Yeah.
there's no other way around it.
Yeah.
So and that guy, the killer's name is Nicholas. I'm pretty sure his name is Nicholas,
Uh, I've always just referred to him as the killer.
the killer.
Yeah, because I always
So
think his name changes per story just
uh,
to be
sure,
undercover. Yeah.
yeah. So they're getting closer to finding the head of the evil, the snake that they're trying to kill in this volume. Barbara really seems to be pushing for a little bit more action.
Hmm.
She wants things to be done. That may or may not be the way that the killer typically does things. He does what he's supposed to do, but he seems kind of maybe at times, I don't know, reluctant isn't quite the right word, but
He likes to do it in his own pace.
and that is
He
not
wants he
what
wants
he's
to
doing
make
now.
sure that when he does kill someone, he's killing the right person.
Right.
And so he doesn't want to do it just because he jaywalked, kind of thing. He wants to make
Right.
sure that there's some legitimacy behind it.
Yeah, this person that he offs in this issue, they were definitely, just from the
Oh, for
one scene
sure.
that we saw, they were definitely deserving of it.
Yeah.
But I've always, not always, but I make the joke that in TV series and in movies, you can always tell, um, whichever way you want to look at it, how difficult a person's death is going to be by what they do throughout up until that
Right.
death.
Yeah.
So that you always know that for those that create those stories, the nastier the bad guy is, the nastier his comeuppance is going to be at the end,
Hmm.
or vice versa. He doesn't do anything, so he may even get dispatched off camera or
Yeah.
something. So, but it's funny, again, to justify that ends, they have to show the means that got you there.
Yeah.
And so you, at some point, you see that, oh yeah, yeah, it's going to be a nasty one for him because
Hmm.
he's just, children and puppies, and
Yeah.
yeah, he's,
Exactly.
it's so you can kind of tell. So we're kind of we're moving steadily up the ladder to find our, like I said, the head of the snake that they're after. Two issues in, I think the pacing's been okay. I like the setting. Look, I was kind of surprised with. We saw that Nicholas, his cover is that he's an office worker,
Yeah. Yeah.
and in this issue, it looked like he was an office worker on a dock,
Yeah. Yeah.
which struck me as odd that there was this, nice big sweet ass kind of office facing the docks. I didn't think that those two things typically occur together.
Well, I mean, if your business is in shipping, I mean, you
Well,
could
but
just have the
docks,
office.
they're usually nastier,
Oh, yeah,
grungier,
yeah, yeah.
grimier kind of places, and here you have this nice, fancy, multi-million-dollar office with big
Yeah.
windows looking out onto the
Yeah.
water. I thought, well, that was not
That's not any I've
not in a
seen.
big tower.
Yeah.
Now maybe that I could even say, no, this was right there on the dock. He was
Yeah.
looking right out at the transport ships, and I thought,
I do
well,
like
that's
that pose, from
kind
the
of odd.
shot from behind where he's got his, hands on his hip looking out the window and
Hmm.
all the shipping containers everywhere. I was like,
Yeah,
that seemed a little much, but all right.
which is interesting because we know that right now that is not occurring, right? Because there's
For
a shipping
sure.
shortage, and
Yep.
boats are getting grounded all over
Yep.
the place, and
Hmm. It's still
shipping is
happening.
just grinding to a halt. And so this is definitely fiction with these big storage units
Uh,
shipping by boat, and that doesn't occur anymore. So which also
it's all
dates when this was made. So
it's all carrier pigeons and
I don't know what it is.
horseback and
It's
yeah.
recalls and salmonella and yeah, whatever else is going on, man. I don't know. Um, So, um, it's definitely a different kind of affair. The story for Boom, it
Yeah.
definitely fits into Archaea.
Oh
We've
yeah.
talked about how feel and certain imprints of Boom, and plus, I guess having read something of the Killer before, knowing it's from Archaea, it definitely fits in. But all in all, it's kind of it kind of gives me a what is the kind of quasi Queen and Country kind of feel.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Quasi, what was the Arctic white mouse?
Whiteout.
What about the cop that went up
Yeah,
north into the Arctic?
I thought that was
White was it
Whiteout.
Whiteout? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think so.
yeah. Those more spy political kind
Mhm.
of feels, as opposed to the run and gun superhero capey kind of
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
story elements.
and that's the thing about this series. If you've never read, any volume of this series prior to now, I mean, definitely keep in mind because that this isn't. You're not getting six sort of not self-contained stories, but you're getting it is literally a long story that begins in issue one and will not conclude until issue six.
Hmm.
And so it is basically a screenplay that is being written and performed over the course of six issues. So yeah, there are some moments, especially in the first issue. I mean, it's a lot of setup and it's a lot
Hmm.
of sitting in a car, doing surveillance, because that's how this process works as far as in the story goes. And yeah, and so in this issue, yeah, there's some action. There's a lot, there's a lot more pieces being moved around the board. So you're getting that. But next issue could be, and I don't know because we hadn't read it yet, but next issue could be more of people just sitting in their car,
Right.
while they're watch people.
Could be a
So,
little more
kind of
talking
keep
head.
that in mind. This is one of those, series that, if you're gonna try it out, I would not judge it. I would say you've just got to go all in. You've got to read the whole miniseries. Because I would hate to say read three issues and
Hmm.
then to judge at that point you're already halfway.
Right.
Yeah. So I really feel like you would uh, do yourself a disservice by not reading the whole thing. Just one or two issues is not going to give you not going to give you the whole story, or even like you said, we're a third of the way through. We don't
Right.
even know who all the major players are yet.
No,
So,
not yet.
so, but it's still, like I said, I've read previous volumes of this. I've always enjoyed them, and they've all read kind of in this vein, and so it's not any break from the norm. So I'm always excited. It's been several years since
Yeah.
the last volume of this, so I'm pretty excited, to be getting this, and we'll see where it goes. So, and you got some sexy time in this issue too.
Oh, yeah, you did. This is definitely for the grown-ups in the group.
Yeah, I was like, well, no, didn't expect that. All right, so I'm gonna jump into even delay even further something that's killing the children because hey, you're gonna come listen to the show or watch the show on YouTube. Gonna make it wait. No, I'm just kidding.
What is
Um,
that? Is that a book from Boo? What is I've never heard of that.
yeah, I
What
don't know
is
what
that?
that is.
What?
So Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the 25th anniversary. Again, this is a beefy book. I mean, it's a $10 book or $9.99 book. It's 63 pages or 60-ish pages. Obviously, there's some credits and stuff in there and whatnot. But it is, previous volume of the series ended, and then we kind of get this, and then there's a new volume of the series that's just called the Vampire Slayer or the Slayer. I forget how it's called now off the top of my head, but it's not called Buffy. So obviously, when you see Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you're like, oh, well, Buffy's the Vampire Slayer. That's not going to be the case in the new series. Um, that's just she's not going to be the Vampire Slayer. I'll just spoil that for you. Um, sorry, it's just the way it works. All right, before we get into that, Peter's got to take off. We appreciate you, buddy. Come and check us out.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You promote us well, and we thank you for that. So, and maybe we won't spoil anything for anything else. Something is killing her. We'll definitely spoil that. But as far as this one shot goes, if you are curious about the new series, this issue, this one shot's got 4 or 5 stories in it. The first one is a little lengthy, but it's the sort of the epilogue to the previous series. So it's an important one to read if you were invested in that series. But if you're at all curious to see what the new series is about, I think this is also a good way to sort of jump on. You get the previous creative team writing that story, and it really does kind of rounds things out. If you're unaware of what's been going on in Buffy the Vampire Slayer leading up to now, the last, I'll say, 8 or 9 issues dealt with Buffy and her friends going through the multiverse and dealing not only with other versions of themselves, but dealing, with, villains and people that they've come across in their own lives and having dealt with in some form or another, also being there. So friends are now foes and foes are now friends, and that whole thing. And there's more than one Slayer now. There's multiple Slayers, and they're all coming from different universes and stuff like that. So, you know, you could say that the previous series sort of jump on to the whole multiverse idea that Marvel is currently doing with their movies and stuff, and you may or may not be correct on that. I did read the last 8 or 9 issues. From issue 25 on. I did enjoy it. I was a little confused just because I didn't know why they were doing what they were doing, but it still was enjoyable enough. This epilogue read well. Um, I could go through the whole creative team. There's like 1,000 people that worked on this book. Let's see. The first one, it's written by Jeremy Lambert, illustrated by Claudia Balboni, and colored by Raul Angulo. Then the next story is written by Casey. Oh, hold on, we'll jump over to that in a second. Wondrous and Surprising Magics, written by Leah Sturgis and illustrated by Claire Rowe and colored by Roman Titov. And then there Is There What I Wanted, written by Danny Lore, illustrated by Mariana Ignazzi. Is that how we pronounce that? We're going to pronounce it that way today.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe. Colored by Madia Icono. And then we come over to Mirrors Don't Lie, written by Casey Gilly, illustrated by Bailey Underwood, and colored by Heather Breckel. And then Trust the Process, which is also written by Sarah Gailey, illustrated by Carlos Olivieres, and colored by Valentina Pinto. Lettered by
Maybe
oh,
that's Carlos Oliveras.
Oliveras. That sounds much
Oliveras,
better.
yes.
Much better. Thank you.
Valentina Pinto, colored by.
And the only reason I know I can pronounce that well is that I interviewed someone today named Valentina.
Oh, cool.
So, so I was like, hey, you're going to help me later. Letter by Ed Dukeshire, obviously created by Joss Wheaton. And special thanks to Becca Sadowski, Nicole Spiegel, and Carol Reeder. This is designed by, the designer on this is Grace Park. Grace Park, the second book. There you go.
Yes.
So, if you weren't aware, Sarah Gailey is, we know her from the writer of Eat the Rich, and she will be the new writer on the Vampire Slayer series that will be coming out, I think, next month. So she's, this story that she gets to write is sort of the prelude into her new series. I'm hoping it's a prelude, not like the first 10 pages of the new series. It reads like a prelude, so that's kind of what I'm hoping will be the case. But it does introduce, it has Buffy. It has Buffy, being very existential and trying to figure out her place in the world and everything like that. And you're just like, well, you're the Slayer, you're the Vampire Slayer, that's what your role is. And then she sort of sets everybody straight about what's going on. She not in particular, but the actual Slayer does. So, and I'm not going to share who the Slayer is. I thought it was going to be somebody else. I could have sworn I read something that the Slayer was going to be, this character, and in this it's actually somebody else. So that could be playing a little more as far as the multiverse goes. We could be having multiple Slayers still. Um, so we could be doing that. I don't know. We'll have to wait till we get into the series and find out. But overall, I think this was a good, large anthology book, one shot. If you're just kind of wanting to get a taste of what's going on in the Buffy universe, this is a good thing to pick up. Again, might be a little pricey for some folks, but I think it's well worth it. I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck. So
Lila Sturgis, didn't she write Jack of Fables over at DC?
yeah, I think so. That's been a while, but yeah, I think you're right.
Yep. Along with, I think, Bill Willingham.
Yes, I
I don't
remember
think
Bill
she
Willingham
was.
did Fables. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think she was sole. I think she was co uh, on the Jack of Fables.
yeah, yeah. I do remember Willingham had
Just
did Fables. I read a lot of that.
mm.
Spinoffs I didn't read a whole lot of. So
One
just
for
because
50 issues. Somebody bought it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Unless, of course, it's like all of Rob Liefeld's comics, and that
Hey,
is
hey,
today nobody bought any of them. Right?
hey.
If you ask them, nobody bought
If
them.
you ask him, yeah, I was gonna say
Today, yeah, but
they
back
sold
in
well.
'92, somebody bought millions of them, and of course, well, stores who I'm like, yeah, okay, just go away.
It's
I'm
all
I'm
right.
I'm not touting the man necessarily. I just see man and I see number, and that's
Right.
all I know.
Yeah.
Who is responsible for the number? I don't know, but I do know that man got paid for moving this many of the
For
book
sure.
for however they moved. He got paid for that. So, say what you want, but dude's bank account says that, he was
Exactly.
responsible for 1 million copies of the book. I'm like, okay, well, whatever.
You can argue however you want. That's
Whatever. And
yeah,
if it
fine.
didn't happen, they sure as heck would not have paid him for that. So
That
you
is
can bet that. So
a big old conspiracy theory going on there.
oh, it's always funny. I love those people, because again, well, not again, but just this person and this sales number. That's all.
Yeah.
The why and the wherefore and the because, and it doesn't matter
Yep.
because the check doesn't say, well, but remember, no, the check just says number.
Yep.
So yeah, it's like
That's what
whatever.
it boils down to.
Make all your excuses. That's fine.
All right. Enough of
Uh-oh.
that
Uh-oh.
shenanigans.
Here we
Go
go.
ahead and rip the band-aid off.
All right.
It is
Something
finally time to talk about Power
is
Rangers number 4.
ki
No, I'm just kidding.
yes, Go Power Rangers.
No, just kidding.
Hey, I really enjoyed the Godzilla Power Rangers book last week.
Oh yeah, that was a blast.
That was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm so happy they do books like that.
And that is Mr. Bunn, right? Cullen
Cullen,
Bunn?
yeah, Cullen Bunn and
Did he
Freddie
write?
Williams. Yep.
Yeah, that's just fun. And
Yeah.
I hope it just stays just fun like
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. Something is killing the children. Brought to us by Hack and oh no, I'm kidding.
Whoa.
Um, James Tynion the fourth, and I know that I have been a stickler for this last name, but it has come to my attention that quite perhaps Tynion is the way that he wants it pronounced, and the best evidence I have seen for that is that his newsletter is named Tiny Onion. And so that is his way of saying
So that's what we're going by.
that's the latest I have heard. James Tynion the fourth, not Tinian, but Tynion. So that's what I'm going to say. Illustrated by Werther Deladera, colored by Mikel Muerto, lettered by N World Design, and covered by 5 people here. One, two, three, four,
Mhm.
5 that are listed in the cover on in the back of the cover. So sure, there's more than that. Designed by Michelle Ankley, created for us by the aforementioned James Tynion the Fourth and Werther Deladera. Now, to open the story, everybody dies and it's over.
That's pretty much it. Yep, there you go. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining us, everybody.
Okay.
We'll see
Well,
you next week. Thanks for joining me, Ed, as always. And
yes, sir. We open with young Gabby in the back of a vehicle. You can't really tell what kind of vehicle it is. You can't really tell who the dude driving is, but he does seem to be on her side because he's not, being aggressive towards her or doing anything like that, verbally, physically, and that's important because on the very first panel, when you look at her, she seems to
mm,
be rather blood covered. So
yeah, to say
something
the
now.
least.
If you have read any of the previous stories, um, I'll say for me, I have read all of the issues up to now, and when I saw her, the very first thing that came to mind is she has survived an attack.
Yes.
Okay, that's just I. We don't. Yeah. Well. Yeah. No. I guess by the end of the book, we do kind of know.
Hmm.
But that was my very first impulse when I opened the book. I'm like, okay, here's a survivor. Is this going to be the story about the group approaching her, or is
Right.
she, is she the
Oh,
lone
I was already
witness? So
looking
it's
for a totem. I was already
yeah,
looking for
really,
all of those things.
yeah, all of these things that have happened before. You're trying to guess what's going. Excuse me, I was trying to guess what was going on. So Gabby, and we find out that Carter, this dude's name is Carter. Now, he does turn out to be law enforcement. Um, or, well, even having said that, was that your impression, Chris, by the end of
Oh
the book?
yeah. No, I mean
Okay.
they're in a police car.
Oh
I mean
no, yeah,
that's for
you're right
sure.
because he does say that there was a call and
Yeah.
he responded
Yeah.
to it. Okay, yeah. Well, but I mean, there's nothing about this about the vehicle really that tells you that it's any
There's a
kind of.
divider window
But
between the
that could
front
be
seat.
anything. I mean,
I have been in police cars
I
before.
have too, but
I know what
okay,
those. I know
okay.
what that looks like.
But he doesn't have a uniform. He doesn't have a badge. He doesn't have a sidearm. So I mean,
Right, but the
any of
front,
the other
the
tropes,
first panel on the second page,
okay,
there's
yes,
a shotgun or a rifle that is mounted there. There's a computer, on. I know what the inside
console,
of that.
okay,
Yeah,
all
I know what
right, all
that
right.
looks like.
So
You
so,
can't fool me. I know law enforcement.
well, they're out in the boonies is why it's so laid back.
Yeah, exactly.
Gabby and Carter are talking. Gabby's the little girl, Carter's the dude. Gabby doesn't want to talk. She wants a lawyer.
Hmm.
It's interesting that she wants a lawyer. I wonder how old she is. And she's got some pink and green hair too. And she's got a rat tail, or I think that's what they call that. That's what they did back in my day.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Um,
it being on the side, but yeah,
yeah,
that's because
maybe
I'm
not
not.
now.
I'm not hip.
Yeah, I don't know the kid lingo anymore. I watch TikTok all the time, and it doesn't do me
Still
any
don't
good.
know.
Yeah, it doesn't work. I am still uneducated. Um, so yeah, Carter just keeps trying to help her, and she just keeps saying she wants a lawyer. She's lawyering up, and it's like, well, but he even tells her, I know you didn't do anything. You were over there. We have photographic evidence that you were over there, and all this stuff happened over here. So I know
Yeah.
that there's that. I want a lawyer. Look, I know that you just tell me what you saw. I want a lawyer.
Yeah,
I
she's
mean,
like, "You're
that's
gonna pin it on me somehow."
yeah. It's like, wow, you are,
As a
dude.
super paranoid kid and a very smart kid at the same time.
So next we find out we're in Tribulation, New Mexico,
Yeah.
and we enter the luck of the Irish. I'll say pub,
Yeah.
just because it's Irish. It's a pub. It's a cafe. It's
Yeah.
something. And here we meet Louis, Pablo, and what is her name?
Ricky.
Ricky.
Yeah.
And she didn't lose the number. So, oh no, never mind. Yeah, thank you. One out there, one out there.
I
That
will
was.
tell my wife that joke. That's
Will
pretty
you?
good.
Okay, okay.
Yes, she will appreciate that.
So there, this is where Carter and Gabby are going, as we see them driving at the very beginning of the book. They end up there. Apparently, everything is small enough here in the town that everybody knows everybody
Mhm.
by name, kind of like Cheers, only not as big, not as many people either. There's only
It's only
the
the three
two,
of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
the two in the car and the three in the joint there. So that's all there is. Um, turns out Ricky is related to Gabby. Um, I don't I didn't catch exactly how, if they
I don't think
said.
they actually said. Yeah,
Okay.
and that's why I wasn't entirely sure based off how that conversation went if she is or isn't.
Mm,
Because
okay.
they never, but she's definitely close to her.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
regardless.
she definitely knows her. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And then, yeah, let's see, what do we have here? Wolf Waters, Vernal Bath. So that's where Gabby's. I don't know if she lives there, but her mother or grandmother or both worked here. So it could be that they lived on premises, kind of like a hotel motel kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this was a business that they operated there. But this is where whatever went down, because we see Carter responding, and this is where he picks up Gabby, um, having Gabby and Carter, when he responds, having been witness to a rather nasty situation involving Gabby's grandmother, mother, and at least one sibling, if not more,
Hmm.
and all female. I think everyone
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Think
female
so.
in the family. I don't know if that's going to mean anything, but it kind of, the odds of multiple lines of the family only being female, the odds of that are a little skewed. You
Hmm.
wouldn't normally see that.
Yeah.
She Gabby is just, she's a real punk here, I think.
Oh yeah. She's a
She's
firecracker.
yeah, that's one way to put it. She's good at keeping up with numbers, but she's atrocious socially. And maybe there's a little familiarity here between Carter and Ricky also, maybe,
Hmm.
that we're kind of hinting at here. But we know that Gabby saw something. I'm not sure that she necessarily comprehends what she saw.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and actually, I think what I saw was pretty freaky. And I've been reading 20 issues of this book, and I'm an adult, and I still was like, "What in the world?"
Yeah. What did I just see? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I can only imagine a younger person like this with much less monster experience than I
Yeah.
currently possess. What she would be like. And finally, at the end of the book, and you knew as soon as this came up what this was going to be.
Hmm.
Um, and I'll set this up because, just what the heck, it's my show.
There you go.
But Gabby goes out back after having a little tantrum here in the pub, and she goes up against some of those concrete lane dividers that you'll see them set out when they're going to be doing road work. They're usually in sections of two or three, and she sits down leaning up against one, and she's messed up. What she's seen, she's trying to figure out what she did see, what she didn't see, that doesn't
Hmm.
make sense. So she obviously didn't see it and everything, just trying to get all that through her head. And somebody comes up here behind her and they say, "Hey," and she kind of turns around and looks over her shoulder and says, "Hey." And Erica, with her one big green eye peeking out from
Mm-hmm.
under her hair, which to me is rather monster looking, says, "Want to talk?" And so there we go. She's standing there in her jacket behind Gabby. Nice full page spread here of the Erica looking over down at Gabby from behind her, with Gabby turned and looking up at Erica, with this concrete divider here
Yeah.
between them at about waist height. Very, very good picture. I like this.
Oh
To
yeah.
me, this is as um, innocuous or as non um, emotional, I think, a picture as we will probably get for the rest of the story.
Hmm. Yeah.
To me, this is just a very neutral kind of, hey, uh, person asking person, do you need some help? What can I do for you? And whatever. Um, And so, what was Doug laughing at? Was he laughing at my Ricky joke?
It was like yeah, it's your Ricky joke, which was
Thank you,
good.
Doug. I appreciate that. And so it's interesting that this is basically her book, but they held off showing Erica until the last page of this issue. I thought that was it showed nice restraint actually because obviously by this point we know it's Erica that sells the
Yeah,
book, but they're like, yeah, we'll show her. She'll
yeah,
get there. It's
I do like that a lot, and I could have even gone to not even seeing her at all in this issue,
oh yeah, for
and
sure,
and
for sure.
getting her at the beginning of the next issue, or something to that effect.
Mhm.
That sort of delay in her arriving, um, because she, as of the end of issue, what was it, 18, she's no longer part of the house,
Right.
of
She's
Slaughter.
just
She's on her own,
yeah.
and
So
so she's going to continue to do what she's always done because that's what she feels she needs to be doing. But she's going to be doing it her way, or whatever that way is. And this is, that opportunity. So obviously there's a time gap between the two the two stories. So I'm sure at some point we'll sort of, I don't know, fill in those spots, but at least
well,
get an idea of what vaguely has been going on, what she's been up to. But I do like that we got to spend an entire issue, learning about Gabby's situation. And
the
it's a lot like the first issue of the series.
yes, yes, and it was all setting the scene. We probably have seen most of the principals at this
Hmm.
point. We've gotten to know, I think, pretty well given the situation. We've gotten to know Gabby.
Yeah,
We have at least one setting, this pub, or two settings: the pub and the Healing Waters facility, whatever it's going
yeah,
to turn out to be called. Because that was the last place that whatever the heck that thing was.
yeah,
And it's funny to me that they showed that creature the way they did, but then when Erica first showed up, it was just this one
yeah,
big green
yeah.
eye, and I'm like, "Oh, now that's not fair because that little girl is gonna think that she's related to that because she's
Right.
just all eyeball." But yeah,
Well, so there were some things I was trying to pick out. Now, I have not gone back and read the first issue of this series in a while.
okay,
So I just didn't have the time to go back and read it, and I wanted to because I wanted to see some comparisons. So
okay.
off the top of my brain, I know some of the stuff didn't happen in the first issue, but at least in that first couple of issues, um, when we see the pub and everything, I'm immediately thinking, okay, where's Erica going to set up?
Mhm,
Because she, in the first arc, she took over a booth in that
right.
restaurant. And so I was like, all right, is she going to set up in here? Where she, it's just all those, little sort of, hints and stuff of what's happened before. How similar are we going to be now in the first story arc? The little boy, and I forget his name, but which is crazy. But he was accused of the murders,
Mhm.
of killing his friends from the very beginning, and where Gabby is obviously not being accused. She is, like, look, we know you didn't do it, but she's worried that they will accuse her of it.
Well, do you
So
think that means that she's aware of that situation via the news?
maybe, that's
Well,
not a
that would
bad.
be something
I
if
mean,
it
they had made a point that, early on in the issue, that this is not the first set of murders,
mm-mm.
that there's been others. So this particular monster has been moving around and killing, before. So, but Gabby seems to be the first one that has survived.
And
But she
maybe that's
wasn't
why she thinks they'll try to pin it on her because she knows of the others that have occurred as well,
right.
maybe.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We're getting, um, both the kid in the first art or first story, and Gabby, both are pretty strong-willed characters, just from the little bit that we've at least gotten with Gabby. Um, uh, but definitely, I think she's a bit older, or at least looks a bit older.
Mhm.
Um, but it's, I'm just glad we kind of got that time in this issue. And I could have, like I said, I could have even gone for a few more pages in the next issue
Right.
before Erica shows up. But you were right with this particular page. it's a pretty powerful first meeting between the
Yeah,
two.
I really
So
like the way it was
I'm
set up.
I'm really looking forward, to kind of seeing what goes forward because, you know, Erica's, how much, it's one of those things. Erica's on her own, so it's like really, how is she going to act? How is she going to conduct herself, and things like that. So it's all these questions, and we have no idea how long this particular story is going to last.
Right.
Obviously, we kind of think, oh, sure, we're going for at least a trade, which could be 6 to 8 issues. Those kind of things. Those kind of things always kind of float around in your head. I don't feel like we're going to get some little, 2 or 3 issue story arc.
No, I don't think so either.
So it'll
Well,
be.
well, I mean, both chapters previously were what, 10 or 11
Well, I
parts?
mean, the first one
This
was,
is
first one
21.
was 18, and then the second one was, it was 7 or 8 issues. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah, um, Tiny doesn't write for the quick
mm,
read.
no.
He's got a story in mind, which is, he really wants to flesh out. So here we are. So it's just, again, it's one of those things. Sort of thinking back to the, how this series started. You know, there's a lot of to do about, this particular issue. And I say 18 issues. That's totally not right. I think it was only like
I think it
12
was,
or 13 issues.
yeah, the
Yeah, I
first
apologize for that.
yeah, the second story was shorter, but it's not been half of the previous
Right.
20. The
Yeah.
first one was longer, and then yeah.
And I'm going by deluxe editions in my head, and it was Once and Future that was 18 issues. That's what it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
and then
I
the
I got
first
the
one,
confusion there.
yeah,
Okay.
first one was,
Yeah.
for this was, I think, 12 or 13. But either way, um, so yeah, I'm obviously, going to be looking for similarities, sort of parallels, really, of how the stories are told. Not that I think that that's a bad thing. I'm just kind of curious. Are there going to be parallels? Just sort of like Easter eggs and stuff like that, for how these, because we don't even know really how all of these creatures work. How they, where they're from, where, how they do their, we don't know anything about them. We just know that they're there. So, oh, Oliver says Archer's Peak was 15. Oh,
Was
okay.
15.
So, it was a little more than we thought it was.
15 of the 20,
Yeah. So,
right? Because this is issue 21.
So the origin was only 5, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 5 issues. Yeah. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Oliver. You can seize our old and feeble minds. We don't retain information that for very long.
Well, crap.
Or at least
Thing's
I don't.
been running since what, like 2010, 2011 or something like that. Seems
It's
like
not
it's
that
been
long.
forever.
I do
It's
remember
it's a
reading the first
joke.
issue, though.
It's a
I do
joke.
remember sitting at the house reading that first issue.
Well,
So,
I remember binge reading the first 12 or 13
oh
when we
yeah,
started the show,
yeah.
and that was like
Talk about
rough.
your
Whew,
talk about
that
your
was.
brain dump. Like,
And then so what did
oh,
I do? Like just a couple weeks after that, I binge read like 15 issues of Once and Future.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was an interesting month that month.
yeah. So, but overall, great issue. I mean, art's in it. It's just great coloring, and it's great. They really spend the time and put together, a really good product. So just we'll see where it goes from here. So
Good stuff. Glad to have
yeah,
it back for the next handful of months until,
yeah, yeah.
although we know that they won't take a hiatus to put on to give us yeah, the other book
House of Slaughter.
yet, because we just were talking about solicitations and they're both in there. So
Yeah, yeah. Which is good. I like to see them run side by side. So
I'd rather a break from one and do the other. That way there's always something of
there's
this
all
world
okay. Gotcha.
going on,
Yeah.
because at some point there will be a break and we won't have any of it,
Oh, either
which
one. Yeah.
will be the perfect place for wind, right, right there. That's
Just give Ed Wynn back,
I
just
want
for
wind.
one
Yes.
more story arc. Or how many story arcs is that supposed to be total?
4 or 5,
Okay,
depending.
all
It
right,
looked like it was intended for 3. Looks like they're going to need 4 or maybe 5.
okay. So there's still more out there for you.
Yes,
So
yes.
that'll be good.
Bring it.
Yep. All right. Anything else? I mean, that's a
No,
pretty short episode for
yeah, I
us.
know.
I
We're
mean, I
looking at an
was
hour and a half,
I
but
like super organized for this one.
hey,
Goodness.
do you want to try to talk about Six Gun next week, or do you want to wait and see what? Because that's just the first week of the month. I mean, so
Yeah, and let me look real quick. I'll jump on my favorite site, leagueofcomicgeeks.com,
and see what Boom
and
Books
see what boom books are coming out in the next couple
we have.
weeks.
We have 4 recording opportunities in April to get it in April. So
So let's see. Next week, we've already talked about we've got 4 books there. On the 13th, there's only 2 books. There's Mighty, or at least so far on the list, there's only Mighty
okay,
Morphin number 18 and then Seven Secrets number 16. So the 13th might be a good week to do it.
okay,
Yeah, because the following week, we're going to get Angel, Faithless, the new Hidden Planeswalker miniseries, another Power Ranger, or the other Power Rangers series. Mighty Morphin, excuse me, was on the 13th, and then Power Rangers is on the 20th, and then we get Vampire Slayer, the new series. So that'll be a little busy, and then the last week of April we'll have Firefly, Berserker, a new issue of Killer, a new issue of Something Is Killing, and Power Ranger
yeah,
Universe.
that one will be full.
Yeah, so let's shoot for the 13th.
13th.
Yeah,
Okay,
because like I said, we've only got 2 books to talk about then, so that'll give us something
2
good to talk
books
about.
and Six Gun Gorilla.
Six Gun Gorilla
Over here.
uh,
I
so,
love
yeah.
Wind 2. Can't wait for it to come back. Amen, Doug. Amen.
So
I really enjoyed that series.
all right, well I guess.
And
Oh,
like sorry, like Chris and I were talking, Doug, I saw, I believe it was the artist that was talking on Twitter. Somebody asked, and he said that originally it was intended for three parts, 3 trades, I
mhm.
guess, if that's what you want to call it. But it looked like it was at least going to be 4 and perhaps even 5 trades that they were going to need at the pace that they were going to tell the story they wanted to tell. So we have at least 1 more trade coming than initially expected, perhaps even 2. So that's killer news.
Yep, that's always good. Can't complain for more. So,
Nope.
and because those, I mean, it's what we've read so far. None of it has been, I
Hmm.
feel like decompressed or anything like that. I think we're getting a lot for what we've read so far. And there's, if they've got a couple more volumes to go as far as trades go and everything, I'm all for that.
And then that
All
means
right.
we'll get a nice big fat omnibus too out of that.
You hope
That,
so.
that would
You hope
be
so.
that would rock. A coffee table wind.
Oh,
Yes,
geez, yeah, that would be
that would be cool.
nice. All right. Well, I guess we're going to get out of here. An hour and a half for
Alrighty.
the show. I mean, that's crazy.
I know.
Um, but yeah, that's what happens when you start to fine tune your show. And then I tell Ed not to be funny so my chest doesn't hurt. So
Yeah.
it's
So
one of those things.
it's been tough.
I
I've
mean,
held
so it's
back.
been 30 minutes on every other episode of jokes and stuff from Ed. So this
Yeah,
is Ed. So what I'm looking forward
toning it
to is
down.
when we go through all of our means of getting in contact with us, you can let us know which version of Ed you like better. Do you like the pulled back version, which is not really the
It's
one, or do
do
you?
you like this Ed or do you like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
Ed? Like this? Yeah. So
So you can get in contact with us. You can come on the website first and foremost over at comicaddiction.com or comicaddiction.net, boomaddiction.com. There are no new episodes prior or old episodes yet. Shut up. I'm gonna take some time off. That's what I'm gonna end up having to do, so I can get all
wow.
those things.
What is that?
I'm
What did
gonna
I
have
say?
I know it's
I
one of
don't
those
know.
things. It's past
Ooh.
things that you've said. So
Oh.
you can come by our Facebook group. If you're part of Facebook, look for Fans of Boom Studios, and you'll find us there. Or you can just click on the link in the show notes. That'll take you right to it too. If you're not on Facebook and you want to follow us on Twitter, Boom Addiction is the handle for that for the show and the website. You can follow each of us individually. Ed is at Teal Productions. I'm at Chris Parton. Again, all of that in the show notes, so you can follow each of us there. If you have anything you want to ask us or talk about us or want us to talk about here on the show, those are the best ways to get in contact with us. Quick DM or tweet at us is usually the easiest thing. Twitter's our friend. That's where we like chatting
Yes,
about
that's where
stuff.
we hang out.
We have an email address. No one ever uses it. Every week I brush all the dust off just to make sure that it's still working. Give it a little grease and make sure the wheels are still spinning. That is at boomaddiction@gmail.com. No big deal. Nobody uses it. It's okay. It's like having a voicemail that no one uses. Remember when podcasts had
Back
voicemails?
in the day,
And like
yes.
nobody called them. Like I think I called some shows just to be courteous.
Just to use it, yeah.
Just so, because some folks, they would pay, like $1 a month or whatever like that. They're like, well, if nobody calls, then I'll lose the number. So you could call yourself or whatever.
Oh,
So
just to throw that out there, talking about back in the day, you know how Steven has been playing his Just Another Fanboy.
yeah.
Well, his show today, he dropped a Comicology Neil Gorman reference.
Oh,
I
geez.
was like, yes, that is way back in the
That's
day.
way back. I
Yeah.
have to go back and listen. I hadn't listened to the last couple of days. I need to do that. Being at work is weird. I don't listen to nearly as much podcasts as I used to. And I've only been back for this is the second week, third week. So yeah, I need to get the podcast listening back into my system. It's out of my routine right now. So yeah, I need to catch up on that. Let's see what else. And check out the previous shows and stuff like that. All the videos are up there. Be sure to subscribe, like, and all that other whatever stuff. If you come by the podcast and listen to us there on all the various podcast catchers like Stitcher and Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts and all that other stuff, we really, really appreciate it. Let all your friends and family and your post office guy and gal and you let your teachers know, we're listening to cool podcasts, and this is one of them. See what I did there?
It's the only one.
We're not. No.
Yeah, no, we're the only.
We're the only one.
We're the only cool podcast.
We're the only cool podcast. Okay, that'll work.
20 years experience, right there.
20 years experience, right here for you folks. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the YouTube and on the podcast. This is episode 34. Next week is episode 35. You already heard some of the books that we'll talk about next week. Well, I'm sure we'll come up with some other stuff too to talk about because that's what we do. We like to talk. We like to talk about comics, Boom Studios mainly, and maybe some disc golf, some wrestling. Who knows what might come up in the pre-shows? It's one of those things. You got to start with us on Twitter, and it carries over to the show. So it's one of those things. So Ed, as always, thank you for joining me.
Yes, sir.
And we will catch all of you next week. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Now I have to go die because my chest is hurting a lot.
From where you're laughing.
No, yeah, there was that, but I kept interrupting you. Hold on a sec. Let me turn that off.